What's going on, Gearheads? Fireball here with my returning co-host. Feels so good to have you guys back in the saddle again. We've got Jared, aka Snackbox from Outside Comfort Zone, and Jason, aka Huck from Huck Outdoors. How we feeling tonight, fellas?
Doing well, man. How about you?
Doing great. It's great to have the old favorites back again. We were just saying that in the green room. It's awesome. Feels comfortable. Feels good.
Yes, it does.
All right, so tonight's big topic, we're coming back with a bang here. It's going to be all about our top gear choices for our big four, sort of like a dream list here. I was telling Huck and Jared before that this is going to be a video idea that I'm going to throw on the channel as well. It might be part of like more of a bigger loadout for me, but we decided just to stick with the big three. Huck originally mentioned the big three, and I tried to just add the +1 on there for the big four and add the sleeping pad in there, but sort of our dream gear list, right? So in this roundup here, you're probably going to see that money is for the most part no object. We're really just going for stuff that if we could just get whatever we want, this is what we would get, kind of deal here. So please don't ream us too hard for that one. I'm also going to open it up here. It's probably going to be a premiere on my channel here and for the podcast. So if you're listening in on that, vote for your favorite in the chat. I guess it's not technically a live chat, but like a chat for the premiere, and then down in the comments down below on who your favorite is. So everybody know what the deal is for tonight. Everybody feeling good to jump right on into it? Yeah. All right, let's do it. First one here, and we literally just talked about this in the green room here. I'm gonna kick it over to Snackbox, but it's basically my pick as well. So we're gonna start with tents here. So Snackbox, take it away. Your dream gear list, starting off with the tent.
Well, so this one, we sort of landed on very similar tents, or even the same one. This one is the Z-Packs. What's the Plex Light, right? And so let me pull that one up there. Hex Solo, Plex Solo. That's right. And this is, my brain is not working right now. Yeah, so this is one that, it's not an inexpensive tent. It's $600. Do like that it's 13 ounces and has our 14 ounces and has a floor. That's pretty great. And a zipper and a bug net. All of that is relatively rare. This again is one where money would really have to be no object. It's not, in theory, I could buy a $600 tent if that's what I saved my nickels for and really wanted it. But ultimately on this one, it kind of comes down to, we've talked about this a lot, the sort of weight difference. If I went with Deschutes Plus or the Gossamer Gear, the one, it's half the price, and I'm only adding 6 or 7 ounces. So this is one that I'd really have to be ready to throw. I mean, you're talking about $300 to save 6 ounces. But all the same, I think the space is really nice when you compress it down in your backpack and such. So I like that. And I like how durable it is, with the exception of hailstorms. Apparently, this is not a very good material for hailstorms, but otherwise I think it's just a dynamite tent,
For sure. I mean, I'm going to agree because, that's going to be my pick as well, kind of throwing it up here. Do me a favor and just kind of like click through the different pictures there rather than me cutting you off and then throwing basically the same screen back on. So I'll punch you in here. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. $600 tent. It's not much different from, like we both have the Gossamer Gear, the one as well. It's really just a matter of weight savings. Our GG1 tent is like 21.5 ounces all in. This with stakes is going to be somewhere around 1.5 ounces, so 16.5 ounces. So again, you're only really saving maybe like 5-ish ounces there, but it's not only that, but it's probably also the material, right? So it's not a Robic nylon or any kind of nylon material, sil poly or whatever that's going to sag. It's going to be 100% rainproof, and it's going to keep its shape, right, in rainy weather. So again, if you have that, double the price tag to spare on that, or you can land a crazy deal on it, then I would definitely agree that it's kind of worth it. The only other downside that I would say to this tent is that it's a single pole design. I've kind of favored the dual pole design even for 1P tents now. Huck's a fan of the Six Moon design stuff, so the Skyscape Trekker is another one. I kind of like the dual pole design a little bit better. because it just feels more spacious when you're in there. It just feels, a little bit more comfortable when you're in there. That single pole kind of digs into you on that one side a little bit more, but that's really it. Again, ridiculously, that's one of the lightest weight tents that you can go with, and it's going to be solid, popular for through hikers as well. So that's going to be my pick for my tent as well. So Huck, how about you?
Before we
go
go past that, the sort of single pole, the trade-off that you get though, or the advantage is that I feel like it's a lot more stable in rougher weather. That it just doesn't catch the wind quite the same. I use the Gossamer Gear, the one, and I use the Just Shoots Plus from Six Moon on 2 different pretty extensive hikes, and the space is certainly much better with 2 poles, but in wind and such, the one pole just seems to create sort of a it's a little different situation. I will say also, this guy's name is Sam Carlton. He's going to be on next episode of GEARHAULICS. And so get ready for that. David's already reached out and made contact. So get ready to meet him. And Dave will be shaving to a similar mustache in the next episode. So stay tuned, everybody.
It's kind of funny. I have talked with one of the co-owners for something else that I'm kind of keeping under wraps right now, but maybe I'll work with them in the future. We'll see. But yeah, kind of funny. All right, Huck, let's flip it over to you. What do you got for your tent?
Similar to you guys, and once the Plex Solo came out, it sort of is the design I want, but my perfect tent is the Lunar Solo. And if they would make a DCF version, I'd be happy. That'd be my perfect tent. I've been asking for it for a few years. I just don't think it's ever going to happen. But a DCF version would be awesome. They used to have it in the Skyscape Trekker. They did the Skyscape X, and they just have never done it in the Lunar Solo. And I think that would just sell out. But then Z-Pex came along with the Plex Solo, which is pretty much the same thing. So yeah, if they could make that right there, DCF, it'd be amazing.
Which one did you say they made in DCF?
The Skyscape Trekker. The Skyscape Trekker.
Oh, wow.
The Skyscape X.
What's the weight on that? Because, like, for me, I think my favorite from them is the Skyscape Trekker. But do you remember the weight on that one?
I don't, but I do love how the Skyscape Trekker like sheds the wind. If you point the front of that tent into the wind, it does great.
Yeah.
It's also like one less stake too, I think, right? Yeah. It's like a hexagon sort of shape. Yeah, where they got the point at the head end there. The regular I think is around 2 pounds, so it's got to be somewhere around at least a half a pound lighter for the DCF.
When I was in Utah with Dan Becker and Bryce Newbold and Devin and Amy, like I set up this tent right here, and a couple of the tents out there were just flapping away, and that thing just held up so good.
Yeah, we won't name names on that one. I know whose tent kind of failed on that trip. Just say it didn't make it into production.
Yeah, and when you look at the weight on these, I mean, we're talking 28 ounces, which is, I mean, it's a pound heavier than the $600 tent, and then here, the price tag on it's $275, which is not bad at all for a tent like this. And look at the, one of the sort of drawbacks of these single wall tents is that they have condensation, but this manages to have lots and lots of ventilation with all of the netting. And I've used Six Moon tents multiple different times, and I mean, just really nicely done, good value. And you can use the money that you save to buy a plane ticket. That's always for me the measuring stick of where it is. But I think this still belongs on a sort of bucket list tent setup because it's just bulletproof. It's a great one to have. I think it's a stellar pick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. You got the dual door design, dual vestibule design. So again, even though there's a dedicated head end, you can depending on how the ground is sloped, you can pitch it either side because you have that dual entry. So condensation is like next to zero in this day. It's amazing.
And Lightheart Gear makes a similar one. It's not so long, but I can't remember the name of it, or the Firefly. And it's similar design to that where it sheds wind really well. It's actually a little bit wider though, so their one-man tent's actually like almost close to 2. I've had a friend where we split weight in there, split the tent up. We both slept in that tent one night. It was perfect. It could fit 2 people if needed.
Very cool.
You're muted.
SB, you're muted.
Yeah, nuts. Yeah, that's one of the nice things about those the trekking pole tents, the solos, is that they're almost always going to be sort of 1.5 or 1+, right, with extra room just because of the way the slope is. This one too, though, what's nice about the way that Six Moon designs it. We talked a little bit about sort of 2 poles versus 1. And this is different than the Gossamer gear, the 1, because the poles are angled in, whereas in Gossamer gear, they're angled ever so slightly out. And so what that does is it creates that sort of bulletproofness. And if you end up in really rough weather, what happens for many people in sort of really rough weather is the rain actually hits so hard and fast that it's heavy, because you've got so much sort of sliding off, and it can just be a real mess if you don't have a really sturdy tent. Ran into that just this summer on the JMT with, I had a literal river running through my tent, just rivulets. And I mean, it was like sleeping on a waterbed. It was bananas.
Oh man. Some points against the Gossamer gear favorite there. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for our tent picks. I'm going to slide on over into the next category. I'll go first here while I'm kind of pulling everything up here so that you guys can get situated as well. We're going to go with sleeping pads. I'm going to go with the tried and true Nemo Tensor. I'm going to present my screen real quick here and pull her up. I'm not going to go with the new one. There is a newer version, which is kind of like their extreme version. I forget the exact name of it. I'm going to go with their tried and true, the yellow top version, the new extreme version. I think they're advertising something like an R value of like 8 or 8.5, something like that, but it's still kind of like V1, so I'm not really trusting it. This is their tried and true Tensor. Still debatable on whether or not it is the most comfortable pad. I find it very comfortable. I think they also have down here one of the best pump sacks on the market. It's only like 2 ounces and it works very well and very efficient. So you don't even really need to blow it up the old school way or with a pump. And it is crazy warm. I have the older version that's 3.5 R value. You get 3 inches aloft. They have a newer one. They kind of improved the tech with right around the same weight. That's up to, I think, like 4.2 R value now. And I think that one is also pretty great as well. I haven't heard a lot of negative feedback about the newer version of this. Just a solid overall option. And I think the price point is right on too here. This is, well, that's the non-insulated. Let's go with the insulated long and wide. They're saying it's only $138 right now on their site, even though it's sold out. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's a really good deal. So I don't know if that's the old version or if I pulled up an old link or not. I don't think so. I think this is the newer version of the Tensor. So there you go. That's going to be my pick there for my sleeping pad. What about you, Snack Box? Let's go over to you next.
Yeah, so this one is actually a tough one because there are just really good sleeping pads, and there's sort of a certain level when they all kind of are the same, right? So this one is probably, it's up there. I have a couple of others that I really like, but the Ceta Summit Etherlight XT, and the reason I like Ceta Summit is that I find their designs are, when they make a piece of gear, they tend to take some risks, but it always works out really nicely. So they have these weird sort of really functional quirks to them. So the Ceta Summit will often come with that sort of pump bag, and you can use that for washing laundry if you're on a long through hike and you need to sort of wash something. Ceta Summit also tends to be a little like pretty durable. I will say that my wife got me a really nice, X bed, and that one, it was the 3R, and holy mess, that thing is just, it's terrific. It's really nice and durable, and it's super warm. I took that actually on a 9-degree hike with Tri-Duty last summer, or last winter, and it was pretty terrific. It's actually where the photo behind me was from that trip, and worked out really well. But I love this one. I think it's a really nice one, and as long as it doesn't pop and it keeps you warm, you're in pretty good shape with these, right?
Yeah.
Nice. For sure. Did I just hear Patty in the background there? Audio bombing?
Yeah. She stays in the room and yells at me when I say something I'm not supposed to.
You got to keep him in line, details. When he strays on those details, keep him in line. Yeah, I mean, I would totally agree on that pad too. I actually have their not insulated one, so the non-insulated version of that, just because it's a little bit lighter weight. I think the only knock on that is probably the weight of their insulated pads, just a little bit heavier. But it's also, as you had the picture that you just pulled up there, they have many different shapes that you can get as well. So sort of like the Thermarest pads, they have like a wide version, they got a wide rectangular version, they got a regular version. So it really is cut to a lot of different people and different styles. So that quilted design is also arguably arguably one of the most comfortable designs out there as well. The jury's still out on for me personally. I still think that Nemo has a little bit of an edge, but again, it's all subjective. But I really like that pad as well, so I think it's a solid pick.
Well, I
Huck.
I just dropped a link into the chat. I don't know if you can pull that up.
Okay, let me grab it.
It is a Big Agnes insulated axle air pad, which was, to this day, the most comfortable pad I've ever used. Had one that developed a hole on Ray Lakes Trail, but I used it for like 2 years before that, no problems. If they made one just a little bit warmer, it would make the perfect pad for me.
Right on.
Had that down sometimes to 32 degrees. I was warm, but I don't know if I was warm because of my quilt that I had as well was a very warm quilt at the time. But if they could make that just a little bit warmer, which I think they may have done now, they've got the new pad. It's called the Zoom UL. I don't know if that was supposed to be the successor to this pad, but I've heard that's supposed to be warmer. It's got a little bit warmer R value. This one didn't have an R value. It was like a rating of like supposed to be 32 degrees. Most people said they were cold at like 50. They had that sort of quilted design, very comfortable. But now I've sort of gone off and started using the X-Lite and X-Therm. And they are warm, but not as comfortable as this pad here.
Yeah,
so again, this is the Big Agnes Rapide.
Yep.
Rapide's a little bit different. So this was
the axle. Okay.
Yeah. So this one is
totally
the
messing it up.
Yeah.
Was it
like
the
axle
air?
Yeah, the axle air.
Yeah, here you go. This one.
Yeah.
It's basically, I mean, they all kind of look the same, right? But to your point, Huck, you know, the Big Agnes kind of sets the industry standard for comfort when it comes to sleeping pads, right? So they have that Q Core series, which if you don't know what that is, I mean, they're really, really thick. They're luxury item for many people, but they're also small enough that if you wanted them to be on an actual backpacking trip and you prioritize sleep, by all means, they're really great. They're pretty terrific. This is actually a fun fact that on the Trans Catalina Trail, this guy here actually started talking trash to Dave because Dave stole his camping spot and they almost got into it. So it was a little bit uncomfortable, but you'll get to see that in Dave's newest installation of the TCT Trail video.
Yeah, it looks like that's an actual picture from the TCT too. So
yeah, you can see Dave over here in the corner. He's like just shooting daggers at this guy, just staring him down real hardcore.
Trying to see which direction it is, like Brady Bunch style, shooting daggers. Yeah, sorry, I finally got the banner figured out there too. I was kind of butchering that for a while. Yeah, Big Agnes axle air. Sorry, I was trying to do that on the fly. So apologies for that. Yeah, I'm not hearing great things about the Zoom either. I'm hearing great things about the overall comfort of it, but not necessarily the insulated value of it or the R value that they have posted. Yeah, for sure. So heard great things about Big Agnes and all their products. So I think on that one, it's really just a slight miss on the overall R value of the Zoom. But I've heard that the axle is pretty solid. So very good. So do they have a long and wide? I'm sorry if you mentioned it already. Do they have a long and wide on that one?
They do.
They run the gamut with all of their different pads. It's also one of the things that they do where I think they still do this, but when I first got into Big Agnes, they actually set up the sleeping bag in such a way that you would slide the pad into a sleeve. And so you would never slip off the pad, and it would basically increase. You'd have a rectangular shaped pad or sleeping bag that you'd never slip off of, and it'd never roll off of you or get tangled. And it was really great, but those were tricky. I think if they don't do them anymore, it's because of the standardization of the measures of the insulation, because their design actually, they wouldn't actually get tested because they couldn't standardize it because the pad would affect the warmth of it. So they never standardized it, but they were great sleeping bags. Really loving. My first down bag was the Lost Ranger, and it was terrific. That Big Agnes is really pretty good. I've heard some sort of tougher stories about their customer service, which is a little bit unfortunate, but maybe those are all just anecdotal. So
when I sent this pad in, when I had there's a small pinhole right on the seam. Yeah, we tried to patch on the trail. There's like 3 different patches on there, didn't hold up. I sent it back and they replaced it right away, and no questions asked.
Yeah, that's dynamite.
Nice. Right on. All right, and I'm seeing here off to the side that I know that Snackbox is on to the next one here as well. You kind of guessed it already. We're going to be talking about our quilt slash sleeping bag next, the third of the fourth option for tonight. I'm going to pull mine up real quick, and my pick is going to be the UGQ Bandit, or really any of them. I mean, like, I think that's one of only a few options that they have on their site. Let me pull this up right here to show for you guys. A lot of different options to choose from with this quilt. As I'm kind of scrolling here, you can see like down to, you know, the thickness of the outer shell versus the inner shell. What kind of down do you want in it? You can optimize or change the colors on the interior compared to the exterior, whether you want a draw cord for the foot box. List just kind of goes on and on. I think their prices have gone up a decent amount over the past couple of years, and I haven't noticed quite as many sales. So if any of you guys are listening to this, you might want to get on that a little bit more. But solid quilts, really well made. It kind of feels bomb proof. I got one that was on a Black Friday deal. I got a 20-degree quilt, and again, UGQ posts all of their stuff in comfort, not at more of their, you know, extreme limits, which a lot of other companies do. So I appreciate that from them as well, and I'd say that they are accurately rated. And their prices used to be more competitive, but I'd still go with them because I think it's just such a great quilt, and they have a lot of different temperature ratings as well. So you can get, you know, all the way down to a 0 and all the way up to a 40. It looks like they make for the Bandit, and then they also have a convict and a couple other styles as well. So that's going to be my pick for a quilt. It's going to be UGQ. What do you guys think about that one?
I wanted one at one point.
Yeah,
from UGQ.
solid. I know that both of you have different ones, so this is going to be a good one to kind of get the discussion going on it.
I think that webpage is going to get us it's going to get us a flag for being explicit there.
How so? What I miss?
I mean, you can. I mean, I don't know if I need to have the talk with you. You are a married man, but I mean.
You're just talking about visuals, right?
Yeah.
Let's not even get into Light AF too and that whole controversy.
All right. Yeah. No, I think that's a great quilt. It's also, you know, it's a good model for people or for the different companies trying to build up their sort of brand following and brand loyalty, because they've been around for a long time, but they sort of, I mean, worked slowly and built up a following that way. And now it speaks to why they're getting more expensive. And so it is a good idea to kind of keep your ear to the ground. And if you see a company that seems like they're making their way, go ahead and buy some of their stuff before they get more expensive, because it will happen inevitably with any of these brands.
That's a great point. All right, Snackbox, you're up.
Well, so this one I actually have, but I'll share it with you here. This was a gift for my 40th. Again, all of my best gear was was a gift, which will tell you a little bit about where I am as a human. But it's the Flicker UL quilt from Feathered Friends. What they do with Feathered Friends is actually, this is a $9.50 fill, but you get a card with any of their products that'll tell you what the actual fill is. So it's at least $9.50. But I think my quilt ended up being something like $9.78 fill, because it was just higher quality than what the minimum was. But it's really cool to be able to see where that comes from. What I love about this though is that it packs down super small, and then I take it out, set it up, go have my dinner or whatever. And by the time I get back to my tent to go to bed, when I tell you it lofts more than anything I've ever seen, it's just incredible. I mean, it'll be about like 9 inches off of the sleeping pad, that much loft, and super comfortable, really warm. And I like that it's, you know, you unzip it and kind of let the air in. It is, I mean, when it says 20 degrees, it's going to keep that 20 degrees. It is just one of the warmest bags. And so I do have to leave it home if it's going to be a hotter trip, but really love this thing. And I've got it, like I said, I've got it here. I don't know how much it helps to see it necessarily, but this is just the foot box, and it's already lofted bigger than my head. Super comfortable. Love it. Recommend it. And it's called Feathered Friends because all of the down is harvested ethically. And so for those of you interested in that sort of thing, that's a good way to go. It's also why it's kind of expensive.
They make some really good gear.
Yeah, I've heard about them. I think first from you, Snackbox. And is that a zipper in the front? I'm kind of curious as to where you stand. If you could speak to that a little bit real quick on like the quilts versus sleeping bags, and which one and why you chose more of a sleeping bag style over a traditional quilt.
Yeah, this one I just unzip it. You know, I don't actually, unless it's really cold, I don't ever leave it zipped up. So I just use it like an actual blanket. But I'll unzip it and I'll leave a little bit just like the foot box so that my feet stay in and I can kind of use that to keep from slipping out of it. But the zipper on the top, it's basically cylindrical or whatever. So I just put it on the side like you would a normal sleeping bag when I do zip it up, and it cinches down real well. But what this also has is it cinches at the foot box, and so I am able to open it up if it's warmer, and so that part is good. But I think it's important for those folks who toss and turn. Something like this, you definitely want to go with a wide because they will get pulled off of you just as quickly as a sleeping bag will get tangled.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good. Everybody check out Feathered Friends. Sounds like a really good plug for them. All right, Huck, what do you got for your quilt or sleeping bag?
You've seen it at Catalina. It's my Cedar Ridge Outdoors helium quilt, 20 degrees. It's a regular wide, 70 inner outer, 1,000 fill power down, DCF baffles, and it comes in at 14.9 ounces.
All right, man, that was rapid fire. I know. Thanks
I was
to
looking up all
Snackbox
the
too. He's kind of
specs
pulling
right
it up off screen. Yeah, but you got that down, dude.
Yeah, they're out of business now. I don't know what happened. They made some great quilts. I've had 3 of them. Still have 2. I sold my 40 degree to buy this one, and I figured the 20 degree, it's light enough. It was just as light as my 40 degree. So there you go. That was the one picture I was gonna find. Actually, I almost bought that one right there, but instead I went with the green, which they don't have up on their Instagram. Yeah, beautiful quilts. They have a survival rating, or sorry, comfort rating. So they're comfort rated at 20 degrees. Coolest I've had it to is about 35. Paired with my X-Lite, I was warm.
That's insane. So trying to wrangle all that together.
Yeah.
Are you saying you got a comfort rated 20 degree with 1,000 fill for 14 ounces?
14.9.
That's insane. I don't think I've ever seen anything that light comfort rated to that. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, they were pretty expensive. But I got a deal on that one. I think I just hit them up at the right time, and probably by the time they were closing, it was one of their first ones they made. Had a little hole in it that they had patched, so it was like a blemish, which doesn't affect me at all. I think I might have showed you where that patch was too, at Catalina.
I think we know why they went under. Huck sank them so that he could get a deal on their quilt.
Oh man,
yeah, that's crazy. I mean, you're literally talking about dreams there because they're out of business.
My unicorn.
Yeah, you'd have to resurrect them from the dead there, but I don't know. Hopefully their tech can be revisited there.
Yeah, I'm not sure why anybody else hasn't done that. There's even the DCF baffle. That's something they tried to do, and it's comfortable. It lofts up great.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, if you can attest to that, that is pretty crazy. It's sort of like the there's another one that I was crying about too, because I'm pretty big on alcohol stoves, just as a side tangent, and that was the Storm and Norman cone, which I think was made in the UK by just this like random guy who probably would have been okay had he gone on like Garage Grown Gear or something like that. But I think he went out of business right as they were kind of coming online there, and it was just like it was like the what was the other? I got it right over here too. Trail Designs. What was it? The other cone, something cone, right? The alcohol, the Caldera cone. Yeah, by Trail Designs. That's it. So it was like that, but this guy literally like cut it in half horizontally. So it like folded down, so it wasn't so awkward in your pack volume wise. So it's sort of like that, where it's just like crazy awesome tech that's no longer around, and I haven't seen it since. So kind of bummed on that one. All right. Doing great. Rolling right along here. Yeah, go ahead, Huck.
I do have one other piece of gear up here, sleeping bag, sort of another little unicorn, just because you can't get it anymore. To go light 30 degree sleeping bag, and one of the originators of the ultralight gear. And I like to pull it out from time to time, but I'm sort of one of those things. I like to keep it in such nice pristine condition.
Right.
That's one
It's
of
like the
those.
classic
That's one
car
of
you don't
those.
want to take
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
If you
Yes.
see somebody using Golite, you know that they've been in the game for a while, and
Yeah.
then they turned into my trail company for a short while, and they made I had a backpack actually I really loved from them, and that the tarp tent, the poncho tarp
Oh
that
yeah.
you could use as a tent was a Maya Trail company, and then they went out of business as well, which was a real bummer because they made good gear at a good price, and
Yeah.
yeah,
They actually had a Go-Lite store at the outlets in Cabazon by my house.
yeah.
It was sort of like everybody that would go there would call it a boutique because they'd have like 2 or 3 sleeping bags, a couple jackets, like one tent you could buy, and that was it.
Well, that's how I found out that they went out of business, actually. I was living in Boston and I think it might have been like the town of Burlington, Massachusetts had a Go Light store, and I pulled in and they were closed up and it was game over. So then when they came out as my trail company, I scooped up a couple of things and then pretty quickly they went under as well, which is a bummer. Yeah.
Sad to see for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's round it out here. We're doing pretty good on time, trying to make this one a little bit more snappy. Let's talk about the last one here, obviously, which is what we're going to put all this stuff in, and it is our pick for the backpack. I'm going to go first again here. So I got it pulled up and I got it off to the side. This is a new thing for everybody here as well, because you guys haven't seen this as well. I haven't told literally anybody about this except you guys in the green room. I'm not sure if you can see it because it's all blacked out here, but maybe you can tell off of the trampoline right here. This is the Z-Packs Arc Haul. And this is in the Robic nylon, so maybe not my dream. I probably would have gone with the Ultra or something like that, but I got this like half off, so I got this at a crazy good deal. I still got to like pimp it out with some extra accessories. And this is the 60 liter. I think maybe my dream one would probably be closer to like a 50 liter, so this can haul a little bit more and can hold a little bit more. Heard some great things about this and some not so great things, but figured I'd give it a try. The biggest thing for me has been like this back panel here, just like being able to breathe a little bit more. It's not the best. I think Osprey and 1 or 2 others probably has a little bit better of a design, but I really like a lot of the features of my Nero, but it was just a little bit too uncomfortable for me in Catalina at the max weight, which was somewhere around that 20 pounds, really kind of crushing my shoulders a little bit more. So decided to revisit the framed pack and trying to get something a little bit more comfortable. And I'm giving this one a try. I haven't tried it out in the field yet, but again, it was too good of a deal to pass up. I took a page out of Huck's book and I got a really insane deal on this one. So had to go for it. So that is my pick, Z-Packs Arc Haul.
You two are going to run all the best companies right out of business with all the deals you keep scooping. You're like, this is a great pack. They're out of business. This is a great tent. They're out of business.
Can't get it anymore. Yep. Had to do it. This was like an eBay special though, for sure. And I'm like, especially for the tent that we were just talking about, Snack Box, I'm looking for the same deal. Like if I can snag that about half off or more, I'm definitely going in on it for sure. All right. So we'll kick it back over to you, Jared. What is your pick for your pack?
All right, so this one here is this is sort of I'm really hard on gear, so I tend to have a pack for maybe 2 seasons at most, and then it kind of goes out. So this is one that I think would last longer. Straight from middle school here, we've got the JanSport with the leather bottom. All the cool kids were using this one, and corners hold up to trapper keepers, and I think it's spectacular. But
they're
for
bomb-proof for sure,
right?
Nice leather bottom.
Yeah, the leather bottom was the sign that you were like in, and I never had that one. So it explains a lot of things, right? No, this is a company out of England. It's called Atom Packs, and they make a number of different sort of custom packs. They're all made to order. This one is the Mo, which is their 50 liter, I believe. But there's so many different ways to customize these. You get the colors, and you can kind of pick a bunch of. You can set the colors and the materials, etc. So I think it's a really good company. My little brother actually scooped one of these. He might have gotten a different tent or a different backpack specifically, but it was really high quality, really nicely done. Took him about 2 months to get it in. I think that might be on my list of things that I'll get next, but I like that it's really compact and sits close to your back. when I get really uncomfortable, it's when the pack carries the weight farther away from my back, and it just kills me. So I want the backpack to be as close to me as possible, and all the weight, etc. And I think this one does a really good job of that.
Interesting. Have you tried any of them at all on trail yet?
Yeah, well, I got to use my little brother's for a little bit of time, but it was, I mean, he had just gotten it in, so I didn't want to get it all sweaty, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I've heard some decent things about that pack from a few other channels as well, but I still think they're flying a little bit under the radar. So I'd be interested to see you get one in and hear your feedback on that in the trail.
Yeah, I'll have to scoop one soon.
Yep. All right, Huck, round us out. Take us home here.
I've just put 2 links in there, but my pack that I love is that Swift X in the light skin. I got to test out the first ones when they were first making it, help make some of the design changes. And then just recently, they've added side buckles now. So instead of just the roll top design and flip over, now you can attach it to the side, sort of like how ULA does their design, which I really love. And I've been harping on that for a few years. So maybe it was because of me. Hopefully it was. But if not, it works. The only thing I wish it was just a little bit lighter. But yeah, see if you can go down to the gray. That gray material, it's just a sleek.
I love that color.
Yeah,
that's a
really
really
nice
sweet color.
Yeah, go over to the right, up the LS21 gray. You might be able to click it to the right.
LS21 gray. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and that material it's so sleek looking. I love it. It's comfortable. I didn't think I was going to be a fan of using the vest. And when Whitney from 6 Minute Designs like, hey, you need to try this, like, whatever now. I'm not a vest guy. That's for runners. And then I put it on. It's like, you're right. It works. It's comfortable. It just helps out with the weight of the pack and everything you've got in there. And I've had it to. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask and pick your brain a little bit more about that, because I've heard great things about the running style vest, but like, how does it? I know you said it helps distribute the weight a little bit more, but like, what does it help to mitigate? Is it that like traps and shoulder pain, or how does the running vest help?
For me, it's just that snugness. It just feels like the pack's one with you. Okay. And as you're walking around, like you move, the pack moves with you. You don't feel like it's like gonna fall off or anything like that.
Yep.
But
very cool.
Other than that, I did throw one other pack in there. My friend just got one, and it's an interesting design. I've been looking at a little bit more. If you can click that link, it's from Seek Outside.
Yeah, I'll pull this one up.
And this pack, he just used it, loaded up pretty heavy and up to like, I think it said 35 pounds and like with no problem at all. But this pack here can handle loads of it says that it can handle loads up to 200 pounds. These people that are using these packs are actually for hunters. And this one here, yeah, it's made with ultra material. It's a newer pack out there. I think that's a pack that's going to come along soon that you're going to see more of this from this company, Seek Outside.
Seek Outside. Actually, they're the ones who make the ultralight like winter tents, right? Like the teepee style hot tents.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, it looks promising. It looks like they're trying to maybe copy Z-Packs a little bit with that. I don't know if it's a carbon fiber stay for that external frame, but it looks very cushioned.
30 to 50 pounds comfortably, and it can actually, for some of the people that are hiking out, like maybe deer hunters or something like that, it says up to 200 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah. That's not going to be comfortable, but it can hold up to 200 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, that's one of the things that I've seen is that a lot of the hunting, like the backcountry hunting gear companies, have not bridged over into backpacking and vice versa, but they're a great place to start. And I found a really great tent off of Stone Glacier, this company, and it was, I think, $200 and $300 maybe, and I think it was at like 13 ounces for the whole thing, and it was a really great one that I had seen in a lot of Dan Stenziano's videos, and just a really nice tent. But anyway, all that being said, checking out some of those hunting companies is a good idea as well, especially if you're planning on doing a little more sort of heavier carrying, that sort of thing.
Awesome. All right. I think we'll leave it right there, fellas. That is our roundup for our Big Four Dream Gear list. Again, if you were hitting up the premiere on this one in the chat, let us know who the king is here, who kind of won this one. Give us your thoughts, all the good feedback and scoop on this. We really want to hear all of your opinions on it. Let me again throw you guys some love here. Jared over on YouTube is Outside Comfort Zone, and on Instagram, he is at Backcountry Champion. Especially his Instagram, particularly funny. Check that out and give him a follow over there. You got Huck here. He didn't even need two different slides because he's the same on YouTube and Instagram. Huck Outdoors on Instagram. He is Huck_Outdoors. And then you're already watching this on my channel or listening to it on my channel, but at Instagram, I'm over at Dave_off_grid. Thanks so much for joining tonight, guys. Always a blast having this round table together, and I really appreciate your time. So thanks again, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. This was fun.
All right, take it easy.
Oh, get out of here.